Hi guys, today we're going to be making a video about the European Nationals, where I was part of the whole thing, and I'm going to be talking about the things that a lot of people aren't talking about, the less fun things, because I had a great time, but there was a lot of things that weren't what you'd expect going to a One Piece Nationals. We're gonna go over it step by step. I'll be talking about my experience, my deck list, my placements, as well as generally what the venue was like, and all of the little tiny things that went wrong that could have been done a lot better. But starting with my personal experience, I went 8-4 with Bello Betty. I placed in the 420s, I think. Um, so very very good outcome from my end, especially because I went 0-3, and then I won 7 in a row to make that comeback, and so I got some additional prizes for top 500, and that was very nice. But let's go into the deck list. I'll show you a little bit what I was trying to do, and then we'll talk about my matchups and why it actually went so well for me. So here's the deck list. This is like the most standard Bello Betty deck list you ever kind of see. Like 4 of Inazuma, great card. 4 of Ivankov, 4 of Karasu, 4 of Koala, 4 of Kuma, 4 of Betty, 4 of these triggers here, right? And then 4 of this one, as well as 2 of Bunny Joe. So these are kind of the tech choices. I don't see a lot of people running this tension hormone, but basically what I was trying to do is I was trying to max out on trigger potential. If you don't know what this card does, on trigger, which is the only reason we kind of care about it, usually kind of doesn't do anything otherwise. But on trigger, you can play a revolutionary army from your hand. So basically you end up like throwing this card right in the trash, and then you get 1 out of hand. So it's the same kind of effect or cost as these trash 1 play this card. So it's just an additional trigger that comes out of life, right? And then Bunny Joe is actually one of the tech choices I've been running. Worked very well, actually. So what I found, right, that people usually run Smoothie over this, which is another trigger card, which is great. But I found that running Smoothie over Bunny Joe, even if it was just a 2-of, I ended up not having the revolutionary armies in hand to discard from my leader effect. And so this is basically just a consistency piece where I put this in so that I can more consistently always have revolutionary army cards in my hand. And out of the revolutionary army cards, this is a great one because it gives you another turn 1 play, going second, obviously, where like if you don't find the Bello Betty, you at least have Bunny Joe, you have Kuma, Koala, like you have these 3. But Bunny Joe is obviously the optimal thing to play because Kuma usually doesn't hit anything, and Koala usually want to keep in hand because it's a 2k. But Bunny Joe is great as a first turn play. So that's about it for my deck list, I think. Other than that, my games, I did end up going 8-4, like I said. And my first 3 games was Katakuri, Sakazuki, and Katakuri, where I lost all of them, right? I lost against Katakuri. It was I had lethal, and he triggered a Thunderbolt in the exactly right place. It was unfortunate, but it happens. You're playing against yellow. You should have expected to a certain point, So that was unfortunate. And then the Sakazuki player, they just kind of, I think they played Rebecca on 8 Dawn. They play Rebecca into Lucci, board wipes me, and then on 10 Dawn they play like Rebecca into Great Eruption into Lucci, and they board wipe me again. So that was fucked up. Double Rebecca and double Lucci's, very messed up. And then this 3rd game, I don't quite remember. I think it was kind of just a wash for me, on his end. So that was just unfortunate. But I went 0-3. She was terrible. But then I went on this crazy winning streak, right? Where I kept playing Katakuri and Sakazuki. And Katakuri and Sakazuki. And I kept winning. I played my fucking ass off. I was doing so well. And people weren't drawing like optimal like the past people were doing. And I kept just getting triggers. I kept hitting the right cards. I kept getting Ivankov into Karasu on on curve, and I just went on a wash. I beat, I think, 3 Katakuris and 2 Sakazukis. Let's do match here. That's 5. No, okay, so 2 Katakuris, 2 Sakazukis, 2 purple Luffys, as well as 1 red-green law. Right? Is that 10 matches? Yeah. So that's day 1. I have a great matchup into purple Luffy, so I kind of just whooped all of those purple Luffys, and then the red-green law actually made a huge misplay, which was unfortunate for him. He actually had me. He just had to survive 1 more turn, and he had a bunch of cards in hand, as the law does. But he ended up blocking. I basically, okay, this is a great, let's just talk about this, okay? So I have my leader, and then I have Akuma out. That's it. That's all I have, right? I have like 2 cards in hand. 10 Dawn. And then no, wait, I didn't have 10 Dawn. I had 7 Dawn. 7 Dawn, 1 Kuma, and my leader. And like 2 cards in hand. And he, of course, being Law, he has a full board. He has like 2 Rush Soros out, 1 Blocker Law, and then some Searchers. So I didn't have lethal, right? He had 0 lives and a bunch of cards in hand. So the only way I could beat him, right, is if he somehow has less than 3k counters in hand. But he had like literally 8 cards. But so I, just not having any other outs, because I would be dead next turn even if I somehow managed to wipe his board, even though he had a bunch of counters in hand. So I'm just like, fuck it, we'll just see what happens if I swing 8 with lead. So I attach 3, swing 8 with lead. And instead of just countering, or instead of just blocking, he blocks and then counters, so that he gets the additional 1k boost from the blocker law being a 6k, right? Because that's how confident he was. And then I'm like, oh shit, now he only has like 4 cards in hand, like 5 cards in hand. Maybe there is a way. So I boost my Kuma with my leader ability. I drop 4 Dawn on him and swing 9k face. And he's just there like, oh my god, I forgot that's the thing you can do. And he had 4k counter, so not quite enough. And I stole that game. Unfortunately, great guy though. He was super sweet, super kind. So GG's to you. I thank God someone was representing some off-meta decks. You were the only off-meta deck I played all weekend. So shout out to that guy. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, right. So speaking of that, that was the only off-meta deck I played. I had a terrible time just playing against meta decks over and over and over again, despite going 0-3. Like, you'd think that if you go 0-3, you're gonna go off against some more spicy decks, right? And not just meta decks. No, I still went only against Sakazuki, only against Katakuri. Surprisingly, I didn't play against a single NL. Because that's my worst matchup, so that would have been terrible if I did. But I didn't go against a single one all weekend. Yeah, I only played Katakuri, only played against Sakazuki, basically the entire tournament, and then a couple purple Luffys, right? So that was terrible. I think it was really lame how many people played meta. And it's not necessarily that everybody played meta. Of course, there's a lot of money in this. Like, there's a huge amount of money, even if you just top, right? You don't even have to win the whole thing to get a shit ton of money. So, of course, you want to play meta. I get it. It's not that deep. The problem is that when people come in playing meta, they expect to win. And when they don't, they become really upset. This was basically my whole, like, my main problem with the entire tournament, and actually with the One Piece community. Because before this tournament, what I had seen from the One Piece community is my locals, right? Everybody's super sweet, and we have this amazing locals. Like, everyone is so amazing, super kind to everyone, very what am I trying to say? Like, they try to make sure everybody learns and that nobody has a hard time, and it's just amazing. And then the other side of the community I've seen is the comments on YouTube, as well as just generally the YouTube community. And here everyone is so sweet as well. I've never felt more accepted coming into a community as I have coming into this community. I literally I've posted like 5 videos ever, and they're all filled with positive comments and everybody going, "Oh my god, you're so good at fucking deck building. This is so unique. I'm gonna try this out." So my impression of the One Piece community was, "Oh my god, they're all so fucking sweet, and it's heartwarming how kind everyone can be." But then I went to the nationals, and I beat the shit out of some meta slaves, and oh my god, were they mad when they lost. People were incredibly salty, and I think it was very childish in a lot of ways, the way these grown men were acting, and I think it's very upsetting just to see, because we actually had some issues, me and my friends, of people acting so trashy that it just made us not want to play the rest of the tournament. And I actually had a friend of mine dropping out of the tournament because his opponent was such an ass, which was just a shame. So I mean, if you're watching this, I hope that you maybe take away some learning, like, from that end, where you won't be an asshole anymore. It's a card game. I understand you spent a lot of money on traveling here, and you spent a lot of money on cards, and you've practiced for weeks, but everybody does that in every sport, or every everything that they burn for. It doesn't give you an excuse to act like an asshole, okay? And that kind of happened a lot. Multiple games. I actually had one of my opponent's players, or one of my opponents, they actually just walked away. They just picked up their shit and walked away, said GG's mid game, because they misread a rule, and they just walked away, and it was like kind of crazy. But then on the other hand, I had this one guy. This is actually my biggest, like, turn off to the game that I had personally in my tournament. It was my last game going in on the first day, so my 10th game. And basically I was playing against Katakuri, and I played Karasu, right? So if you don't know what Karasu does, Karasu gives -1000 to your opponent's leader or character on play and when attacking. So I played this guy, give -1000 to my opponent's leader, make that very clear. Yeah, hey, -1000. And then I swing 8000 into him, and he forgets that his leader is -1000. And so I ask him, "Are you done countering?" He counters with two veggies, right? So that's 8000. And he counters with two veggies. And so I ask him, "Are you done countering?" And he said yes. And so then I go, "Well, then you'll have to take the damage," right? It's a bit of a dick move, sure, from me, but I'm playing Bello Betty in a place with everyone's playing meta decks. So I was like, that's part of the game. Remembering that your leader is -1000 is part of the game. So going into it, I knew that I would be in this situation quite a few times, and so obviously they're being really tight. Like, at this point, going what was I, 9-3? I was like, one more loss and I'm out of it, right? So the entire grind had been just, you gotta do your absolute most. But either way, so he miscounters, right? And then I ask him if he's done. He says yes. I go, "You'll have to take the damage then, because you need one more count, 1k more counter." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then he puts Gedatsu from his hand, like, counters 1k more. And then I go, you can't do that. You said you were done countering, so now you have to take the damage." And he calls for a judge. And this guy, he's incredibly like, not nervous, but like, he's panicking right now. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna lose a bunch of money." And so he calls the judge. The judge comes over, and this is actually a problem that was really upsetting for me. The judge calls in his favor. Me, I have a lot of friends who are judges in my locals, as well as one of them was a judge in the nationals right here. And but the judge comes over. He goes, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna give him not a warning, but like whatever the less thing of a warning is. So, and just be like, hey, if it happens again, you'll get a warning. But mind you, it's not gonna happen again. We have like a turn left of the game because I'm Bello Betty." But he basically goes, the judge goes, "I don't know, I don't know what to judge, because you're saying two different things and I don't know what happened. But that's not what happened. We were saying the same thing. He was just arguing that he should be allowed to counter, even though he said he was done. So Judge completely misunderstands the situation, but Judge didn't know very good English. The player I did play against didn't know very good English, and it was just a whole mess. And it was upsetting to see that the judge ruled in his favor when I know that I have the rules on my side. But it was fine because I won the game in the end anyways. So that wasn't the end of the world. Thank God. I would have been if that would have gone to a loss for me, I would have probably had to pursue it. But now I could just drop it and move on with my life, which was great. But then the second day, I played 2 more games. I won one, lost another, but whatever. It wasn't that deep. I wasn't gonna go on to top 64 anyways. But yeah, so I played those 2 games, and then like right before our last game, the guy on the speaker, he went, "Hey, by the way, after this game, you can go and start line up to get your additional pricing if you get in the top 500." And so me, who plays Bello Betty, I finished really fast. And so right after that, I go over to the place where they said we could line up, and I asked the staff like, "Hey, where do I line up here to get my additional pricing?" And they didn't understand anything. They were like, they scanned my thing, and then they went, "You've already picked up your participation prices." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not looking for participation prices." And the communication there was terrible on their end, where they didn't seem to understand anything that was going on, and they didn't really speak English, which I think is a pretty bad thing for a national staff team. I mean, considering you're gonna have people from the entire of Europe coming in, you need to be able to have proper English-speaking personnel, or things are gonna crumble. So what happened was that I ended up just, going, "You know what, thank you, it's fine, I get it," and left, and didn't get to wait in line. And then, obviously, as more games finished, the line became huge. I don't know where the fuck they got to be in line for when they didn't understand why I was there. But line becomes huge. I don't get my prices until fucking, like, multiple hours after. Which was just a shame, because it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's just upsetting when people don't speak the so universal language that is supposed to be spoken there. Because if you can't understand the staff, then that's a problem, Other than that, we did have some more problems with the actual venue itself. There was an absolutely crazy draft going through the entire venue, and it was very, very cold. Me, along with and as well as multiple players, had to play wearing their jackets. Mind you, I wore a t-shirt as well as a hoodie on top, and then I still had to wear my jacket because that's how cold it was in the venue. It was not card game friendly heat in there. It was incredibly cold, and it was insufferable. I would shake while playing the game because it was so cold, and that's not what you want. I guess I understand that there's not much you can do about that, but I feel like there's gotta have been something. So that was one of the more terrible things. And then there was the food situation. There was only one the food vendor, or whatever you would call it, and they served like very limited foods as well. But the problem was that with only one, between every round, the line would be so fucking long that you wouldn't be able to get in the line and finish the line and then go to your next round, right? So there would be people who get in line, and then before they reach the front of the line and order their food, the next round would start. So I wish that next time, at least, they take into consideration that it would be good to have multiple food vendors, and so that the line don't get all crazy. Because the same thing goes for the bathrooms, right? They had only one bathroom, and the lines would go absolutely crazy, and then people wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom before their next game, and that's obviously not what you want from a fucking nationals, right? After that, I think the last thing I want to bring up is that the products, right? We had no heroes, and then we had someone else selling products, right? And they were so incredibly overpriced. The place that wasn't No Heroes was a little bit better. They were selling OPO5 boxes for 200 euros each. That's like twice the fucking retail price, right? Which is crazy. Especially because I think a lot of people were excited to come here and buy boxes because there wouldn't be boxes available. You can't get a fucking box anywhere, right? But then you come here and you see they're incredibly overpriced, and like everything's overpriced, right? It's not just the boxes, and it's a shame because, like I said, a lot of people, myself included, was really excited to come there. I had put away a lot of money to come here and buy boxes, and then they were just so overpriced that I couldn't afford nearly as many as I thought I would, and that was really, really unfortunate. Yeah. So that was it from today's video. It was just a quick little rant about my experience with the Nationals and how unfortunate it was that players were a bit toxic, and that the venue wasn't as optimal as it could have been. Just to round up. But at least I had a great time. All these things set aside, if we look at the positives, I had an absolutely wonderful time with all of my friends, and we went out and stuff, and we had just a great time in general, both in the tournament as well as outside of the tournament. But the tournament itself definitely could have been better. But all in all, I had a great experience still, and just thought I'd lift the points that nobody else is talking about. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll perform a little bit better at the next Nationals. But 420 something is still pretty good, I think. So put some respect on my name. All right, thank you for watching. See ya.